Hi guys, Chris here, and you are watching Here We Are Running. And coming up in today's video,
To run, 305 per kilometer with a group of guys for at least in Naples for 10 miles. I don't know if it's breaking news, but I'm still trying to figure out the European race. You're going from, harder surfaces to softer surfaces. So overall, I would say my legs actually feel a little bit better. I do have aspirations for sure to get into the longer stuff. I think downhill running is harder than uphill running. So it's a very aggressive, very lightweight. It almost feels like a cross country shoe, but for one race a year, I'm willing to put my legs through it just because it does bite the mountain so well. If I could, I think every summer I like to shoot for 3 FKTs in Colorado. Before, during, and after. Now, 18 months ago, I felt a little burned out because it was hard. I hadn't figured out the right systems yet. See, like that's a great example of innovating with the treadmill runs. Like I'm telling you, you're crushing it with the live streams. Wow. I mean, oh, that's really how you are putting me on the spot. Okay, I'm just gonna say.
on Monday evening, I had the pleasure of speaking with SETH James Demooor. Now, if you aren't already familiar with SETH, he is a phenomenal runner and also very talented at making videos. He's got a running YouTube channel which is just growing from strength to strength, and he uploads a new running related video every single day. So I really do hope you enjoy this video, and of course, if you do, don't forget to hit the like button.
Firstly, Seth, thanks for coming onto the channel. Thanks for agreeing to do this today. That's it's really good of you. The thing I've noticed, particularly with yourself, is that you've been running for a long time, since your college years, but you haven't really done many half marathons on the road. However, this year you've already done 2.
Yeah.
And they've all come from the back of quite a big training block. So I was going to ask you firstly, how have you found the half marathon distance as a race distance, and more specifically, the 2 races that you had? How would you compare them? The Naples half marathon in January with the Glass City half marathon only a week or so ago.
Yeah, great question. So it's been a really fun. I'm, more the trail mountain runner, and I'm trying to transition to the roads to run fast on the roads. And, I'm 35. So I took a little time off after college, about 5 to 6 years, where I wasn't racing at all, running a little bit, but not a ton, like 20 to 30 miles a week, just kind of enjoying just, living life and starting a family. And so I've transitioned. So then I discovered ultra running, mountain running about 2016. But then I realized after trying my first 100-mile race that maybe, and I DNF'd at 50 miles in that 100-mile race. I realized, maybe I should still see if I have some speed in my legs while I still have it. So it's been fun to kind of come actually back in distance from ultra running to back to road racing with half marathons and marathons. And I've only done 2 road marathons. Let me think. Has it been Amsterdam, New York City? Am I missing? No, yeah, because last year I was going to do Hamburg in Germany, but that was canceled.
Yep.
So, the road marathon is big. It's it's another level of dealing with lactic acid, and I'm still trying to figure out the right pacing, for road marathons. But then this year with the half marathons, to get to your actual question, oh man, it's been amazing to run, 305 per kilometer with a group of guys for at least in Naples for 10 miles. So it's been really interesting to kind of rediscover speed on the roads and to run in a group. Like in trail and ultra running, sometimes you're in a group, but sometimes you're off on your own. You're kind of out there on the trails and there's nobody around you. So I must say, I really do enjoy the camaraderie and the competitive side of road racing, which was also happened in Toledo. So it's been fun. It's been a good transition back in distance from ultra running to the roads.
Great stuff. But now you've done those 2 road half marathons, you're going to transition back to the trails for the summer.
Exactly. You know, it's I live in Colorado, so like I can't get it, you know, we have the big beautiful mountains here. I can't stay out of the mountains for too long. And in the summer, you know, it just gets so hot. Road rate, it's nice. That's what's nice about mountain running in Colorado, is that you can go up to 8,000, 9,000, 14,000 feet, and it's just cooler temperatures up there. So so that's the game plan, and I'm still a little I don't know if it's breaking news, but I'm still trying to figure out the European race that I'm planning to do in the next month or so over in Europe. So that's still a work in progress.
Okay. It would be great to see you over in Europe. I know that one's not in the UK, is it? But
well, actually, I don't know if you heard. So the Austria one was postponed today. So yeah, so I'm actually starting to put out feelers for some other races over in Europe in early June.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yep.
Well, if ever you're able to come over to the UK, we'd love to have you over here. That's for sure.
I would love it. Oh man, I can't wait. I know there's a lot of great road racing and also some solid, you know, trail racing as well. So,
but one race you've definitely got planned coming up in the summer is the Pikes Peak Marathon, which you won it last year, and you're going to try and retain your title, I'm sure. How do you find that whole transitioning from the road back to the trail? What's your approach to that really? Is it an easy transition, or do you have to sort of change focus completely?
I mean, I change up my gym routine a little bit, add a little more strength work because of the hill, you're going up hills. I would say it's a 2 to 3 week transition where the legs just need to get used to that climbing again and the downhill. But I have found in the past summers where I am transitioning from roads to trails, where usually in 2 to 3 weeks of pretty consistent trail running, my legs adapt pretty quickly. So that's and you're going from harder surfaces to softer surfaces. So overall, I would say my legs actually feel a little bit better, just because you're running on more dirt and softer surface.
Yeah, sure. And I noticed with the trail race, and you kind of touched upon it earlier on, you tending to go for the kind of around marathon type distance for your trail races rather than the ultra marathon. Is that just because you find that your body suits that better, or do you feel that you're more competitive at that particular distance?
I think that last point is probably the number one. Is I think my special, I am more competitive at the shorter, especially with more vertical. I'm pretty good at climbing, but I do have aspirations for sure to get into the longer stuff. But it's interesting because there's so many great ultra runners in their 20s, late 20s, or even mid 20s, and I'm just I don't know. I mean, I guess, this is my life and my job, and I just don't want to rush the process of getting into the long stuff, I guess, too quickly. And it kind of gets back to, we only have so many races we can do in a year. And I would rather, I don't know. I'm very confident as a 35-year-old that I'm still going to be able to compete at a high level in 3 years from now, 4 years from now, 5 years from now. And at that point, start transitioning maybe to the 50 milers and who knows what, 100 Ks down the road. So, but at the end of the day, I think the marathon distance is and 50K is a pretty good distance for me right now.
I guess then so the Austria one now is postponed, and maybe you'll get another one in before Pikes Peak. But Pikes Peak is very much a you climb all the way up to the top, you turn around and you run all the way down. How do you sort of build that into your training? Do you focus more on the climbing element or the descents? Because I guess it's two different elements to the run, really, isn't it?
It really is. And I need to do better. I need to practice the downhill more in 2021. That's definitely a lesson I learned from last year. I did really well on the uphill and, okay on the downhill. So yeah, I gotta nail the downhill training almost to the point where you drive up to the top of Pikes Peak, which you can do, and then run down just to practice that downhill running, because it's you're engaging different muscle groups, and it can I think downhill running is harder than uphill running. So
Really?
um
Yeah.
yeah, I that's where I know my strength is uphill running, and I just love. I think my legs are just built. I'm not a tall guy, so I just am pretty good at, I don't know, using the leg strength that I do have for that uphill climbing. But yeah, one of my goals for 2021 training is to work on the downhill running.
I mean, is shoe selection quite important for that, in terms of having a specific trail shoe that suits that downhill part of the
Yeah.
running?
The tricky part about Pikes Peak is that the trail is kind of like a loose. It's a very popular mountain to climb here in
Hmm.
Colorado, so it kind of gets beat up a little bit. So it's the trail is a little loose. So I actually love the Innovate, not the Terra Ultra, um, oh my goodness, I haven't worn them all since last summer. But shout out to the UK, a UK company, not the
Sure.
Terra
Yeah.
Ultra, the Innovate. It'll come to me anyway. The G270s is the weight of the shoe, or no, sorry, the G210s are what I use for Pikes Peak. But anyway, just a very aggressive lug pattern. I think the lug depth is. Oh, I think it's 8 millimeters. It's really aggressive, and I wouldn't recommend the shoes to too many people. It's basically designed for running in, muddy conditions over in the UK.
Yeah, we have plenty of that. In fact, I've just got my first pair of Innovate shoes. I've got the Trail Fly Ultras, I think, the new ones that
Yes.
have come out.
Yes.
Particularly because of the 50 miler I'm doing, and wanting as much comfort as possible over that long distance.
Absolutely.
Right. So
X Talon. That's it. The Innovate X Talon
yes.
G210 is
Yes.
it's a very aggressive, very lightweight. It almost feels like a cross country shoe, but for one race a year, I'm willing to put my legs through it just because it does bite the mountain so well, and they're so lightweight. So yeah.
Good stuff. And last year you did quite a few FKT attempts. You got any plans for that this year?
I do. I probably won't get quite as many in because the racing is gonna, increase this year.
Yeah.
Oh man, if I could, I think every summer I like to shoot for 3 FKTs in Colorado. So for all your listeners that don't understand, Colorado has 54 mountains that go above 14,000 feet. What that is in meters, I'm not exactly sure, but anyway, it's 14. So it's a lot of mountains to try and run up and down as fast as possible. So I'd like to go after 3 of them: Mount Princeton, Mount Massive. Oh my goodness, there's so many to choose from. So yeah, I definitely want to hit some FKTs this summer.
Good stuff. Right. I thought before we talked a little bit about YouTube, I'll give you a few quick fire questions on a few different running related stuff. So here we go. First one. So if you could only use one product in your recovery, what would it be?
The vlog 2 days ago was almost all about this. It was it's great. I know this is crazy, but it's my stretching mat that I keep out in my house now, just to remind me to do it. So I know, like, it could be the foam roller, it could be the bands that I use, it could be the ankle, to strengthen ankles, but it's crazy. But this mat, I used to store it in my closet because our house is so small. Anyway, it's the mat. I know these are rapid fire, so.
Good stuff. I think for me, it would be a massage gun, but yep, good one, Matt.
There you go.
Right, next one. I think I might know the answer to this, but we'll see. If you weren't a runner, what sport would you most likely take part in now at this point in your life?
That's great. Wow. I mean, oh, that's really how you are putting me on the spot. Okay, I'm just gonna say, um, I'm gonna. I guess I'll say basketball. I'm going with basketball.
Okay, right.
Yeah, I mean, I love football, American football to watch, but I'm like 5 feet 5 inches. And so, I'm starting to get into soccer.
Well, this is what I thought you might have said. Yeah,
I
I thought you were
know
going to go for that.
it crossed my mind, but then it's like, I've only been starting to get into it over the last couple months. I feel like I'd be imposing too much if I said that.
I've seen a lot of your tweets about football. So, yeah, I thought
I'm trying to for all your listeners, you guys got to let me know on Twitter, who should I be cheering for?
There's lots of teams.
Oh, it's endless. I can't. It's very, and your league system is so complex. But I'm starting to learn it.
Great stuff. Okay, next question. Favorite shoe of 2021 so far?
Let's see. Well, I guess it would have to be the Mach 4, even though I tested it last year, but I think since it was released this year. So yeah, the Mach 4.
Okay, cool. And final quick fire one. Coffee before a run, after a run, or both?
Before, during, and after. No,
I didn't give during. I thought no one has it during, do they?
Actually, I think in ultra running, I think when you're doing like 100-mile races, I bet they're, but no, before I usually do like a half a cup, and then afterward, a couple more cups.
Cool. Yeah, I'm a big coffee drinker as well.
I'm trying to cut back a little bit. It's like I gotta watch how much I drink.
Yeah, it's very easy to just keep drinking more and more of it, isn't it?
Especially when I love it black, so I could just drink it all day.
Sure. Okay. Right. I did want to, I'm a YouTuber as well, and I did want to ask you some questions about YouTube, because you've been doing it now daily on a daily basis for 5 years, which is incredible. Now, it started off not as a purely a running channel, started off more sort of lifestyle type vlogs, and pivoted towards running. And really you cover kind of shoe reviews, training, races, live streams, pretty much everything running related, except maybe running technology. I know you don't get on so well with the tech, but that's fine. And it's become your full-time job now. So I wanted to ask you, when did you realize that YouTube could be a full-time job for you? And what was that feeling like? And also, did anybody doubt that decision in your life?
Great question. October 2019, I purchased the Nike Pegasus Turbo, the original, from a mall in Minnesota. And I was at that point still doing the, life vlogs. We had maybe 1,000 subscribers, and I was on a work trip actually to Minnesota. I bought these shoes because I needed a new pair of shoes. And I just so happened to film them, talk about them a little bit, and I put Nike Pegasus Turbo in the title. And that vlog got about 400 views, while most of the vlogs were getting 100 views.
Yeah.
And so maybe 75 views total. Yeah. So I was like, wait a minute, what? And then maybe a couple days later, True Love, Bridget, my wife, who's also on the YouTube channel a lot. One morning I woke up and I opened my phone and I looked at the app, the YouTube app, and I think we had been approved at that point to make money off the channel, but we were making like 10 cents a day. And so I opened the app and it said $7 in one day. And we, like, Bridget and I, we looked at each other and we just we were shocked. We couldn't believe it. And honestly, it was, I mean, I had known before that at some point it was going to work out. Like, I don't think you do it for that long unless you really believe. But it was that point at $7 that first day where I was just like, wait a minute. You can actually make $7 uploading a video to YouTube. So that was October 2019. Now, no, it's interesting. Like, I would say nobody in my life, like family or friends, have said, you're crazy. What are you doing? This is not going to work. Yeah, no, I'm trying to think of anybody. I mean, people have given me advice, but nothing like discouraging. So that's been good. I would say that most of my family doesn't understand how it works, though, like
All
how
right.
you actually get paid, and how kind of the I will just say the strategy behind turning YouTube into your full-time job.
Sure. And of all the different types of videos you make, do you have a kind of have a preferred type of video?
It's got to be the mountain running are my favorites.
Yep.
I love making, now it's really fun to make the racing vlogs because, people are out there filming. I mean, that's just really fun. But over time I've learned to enjoy the running shoe review vlogs more.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to, I think it's just all about trying to do things different than everybody else and trying to make them entertaining. Because I think running shoe reviews personally, like sometimes they can be a little dry if it's, unless you're like really into running shoes. So it's all about making that entertainment value go up.
As a sort of viewer of your channel, one thing I've noticed is that you're sort of constantly upping your game. You're the most recent example I can think of is when you got a new drone, and it now sort of follows you around when you're running and does circles around you and all of that sort of stuff. But you always seem to be innovating and sort of trying to sort of be ahead of the curve. Is that something that you sort of would pin down to the success that you've had with the channel?
I think so. I've always been a pretty creative person since I was young. So I think that's helped a lot. Yeah. I mean, and I think everybody can be innovative in their own ways. Yeah. No, oh my goodness, that's a huge topic, but yep. I think that's part of the growth for sure.
Yeah. And I'm assuming that because you do the daily vlogging, you kind of have to have some sort of schedule. You have to kind of plan what you're going to do, and tomorrow, the next day, etc. How sort of far ahead do you plan in the videos that you make?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I have about a week out of videos planned,
Okay.
but I will wake up some mornings and I'll realize like my legs don't feel good. And so that's the art of the pivot that I'm always talking about. And I'll just tell Bridget like, I'm going to be home a little later because I got to go. I just pivot. I pivot. There's definitely, I would say I pivot twice a week where I do a vlog that's totally not what I had planned.
Yeah.
But I do have a running schedule for probably 7 days. But even like like today was a pivot because I opened up a pair of shoes yesterday in the studio, and I didn't expect these shoes to be here, and so I pivoted. Yeah, today was a pivot.
Went out and ran in them.
Yes.
Good stuff. And I think you've often said that it was your father that taught you about photography early on in life. How about in terms of videography, though? Are you self-taught in that respect, or do you have some sort of tuition in terms of both the filming side of it and the editing side of it?
It's all been self-taught for the video.
Okay.
My buddy and I bought a video camera when I was in 7th grade. So I've been messing around with video since middle school, and editing didn't start until I would say late high school, early college. And even then, like the computer I had was so slow and editing was so slow, like 15 years ago.
Yes.
It was like so painful that I wasn't really into editing, I would say, until after college. So, and I've never taken a class or Yeah, and I, you know, it's obviously doing it daily. You have to be very efficient, and so I have aspirations to make better videos. Maybe when I have a little more time, like a little more help. And so anyway, I have yeah, you know, like when I go out and film a big race like Western States, I try to put a little more um emphasis on the editing. But you know, you can do only do what you can do when you're doing it every day.
Yeah, absolutely. You must have to turn it around so quickly. And I'm
Yeah.
sure you've had plenty of late nights as well when you've been
Oh
uploading
yeah.
it.
Back in the day, I many late nights. Yep.
I've got one final question for you, Zeph.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, thanks very much for doing this today. Final question is, where would you like to be in 5 years' time? And that's both in terms of where your running is going and also in terms of what you're doing on YouTube.
That's awesome. So I'd be 40. Oh boy, that's crazy to think about. I would I would have liked to have run in the US Olympic marathon trials. I
Sure.
think
Yeah.
that's still a goal. I would have liked to have started to race longer distances, probably, you know, 100 milers by that point. Um, at the same time, though, I think I'd still like to be competitive in the mountain running. At that point, I don't think I'd be, you know, trying to chase down PRs on the roads at that point. I think that'd probably be in the past. But yeah, so those are a couple goals as far as the running is concerned. And YouTube, I'd love to have a team of, you know, just passionate creators, videographers, you know, some people that could really push the channel, the quality of the content forward beyond what I could ever do. Because again, like I'm self-taught, and I know there's young people out there who are passionate about editing, passionate about filming, and so I would like the channel, you know, to continue to grow, but also I'm not afraid to bring on talent and more help.
Mhm.
So that's, I would say that would be definitely attainable, you know, 5 years from now.
And do you think
Yeah.
you'll always be doing it daily, or do you think that would ever change?
Um, yeah, that's a good question. I mean, oh goodness. I mean, I would say at that point it would not be daily in the sense that I'm doing the actual editing and filming, but maybe some other people are helping create content every day. And
Yeah.
maybe they're uploading every single day. Um at this point it's still, I can still do it, and it's not, I don't feel burned out. Like 18 months ago I felt a little burned out because it was hard. You know, I hadn't figured out the right systems yet, and that's, you know, for everybody listening, like if you're just getting started on YouTube or a lot of different things, you know, it's all about creating efficient systems, and eventually you get faster at the systems. And that's what I've discovered over the last, but it's taken, you know, years to discover those systems. So it's not as hard as it actually used to be. Crazy enough to say that. Um, you know, and oh my goodness, like I guess if it's okay, I'll give a plug to the website I've slowly started to build, demoorglobalrunning.com. Like, who knows if there could be some, you know, a spot there for videos that could be like audio coaching for people that are out on a run, or, you know, maybe training plans. I'm not sure. Oh my goodness, there's just so much potential to continue to build, yeah, build the DGR family around the world, and maybe a DGR crew in the UK, something a little more tangible. So we'll see.
Well, as I said, Zeph, as soon as you're able to, we'd love to see you over here in the UK.
Man, I
I
know.
know you
I
were going
got
to
to.
come across for the London Marathon, weren't you, before everything happened last year? So
Yes, I was. I was planning to come film that. Yeah, and I almost tried, but they wouldn't. I don't think anybody was allowed to travel at that time.
no, no.
Yeah.
Well,
So
slowly things are getting better, so let's hope that continues.
yes, yes, yes. Well, you know, and it's been fun to watch your journey as well on Here We Are Running, and you know, we're all slowly getting better. I mean, I remember watching your videos, I don't know, 18 months ago, 24 months ago. So I see progress, and and oh my goodness, interactive work with, see, like that's a great example of innovating with the treadmill runs. Like I'm telling you, you're crushing it with the live streams, and
Yeah.
like that. I don't know. I don't really see anybody else doing that. So
There's not many. There's not many, and you need a fairly good setup to be able to do that as well.
So keep it rolling. Like, you know, that's a way that your channel can, you know, stand out from, because, you know, as you know, I would say there's probably hundreds of running YouTube channels at this point, and
Yes.
you know, many, you know, probably over 1,000. I don't know. So that's one way that I've noticed your channel standing out. So it's cool to see.
I'm going to ask you one final thing. I know
Yeah.
that last one was supposed to be, but this is a personal thing, really.
Yeah.
So I'm doing my first 50 miler in 3 weeks now.
Okay.
Any tips?
First 50 miler. How much vertical?
It's got what is it? 1,700 meters of elevation gain.
Not too much. Well, no, 1,700 meters. So that's like 4,000 to 5,000 feet, I think, you know, roughly. Let's see. So, you know, depending on the weather, obviously that's a huge factor. Hopefully it's not too hot. If it is a little warmer, you know, that you just have to be really attentive to the, you know, to the fluids, but also to the electrolytes. Have you been practicing, or I'm sure you have, but salt tablets? So that was one of my mistakes in my 100-mile race, is that I hadn't really been using salt tablets, and my body just wasn't, anyway, I think I was drinking enough, but I wasn't absorbing the liquid. I wasn't absorbing the water because I wasn't taking salt tablets. So
Okay.
if it is really warm, you might want to think about salt tablets, especially just because you could potentially be, especially after like 20 miles, I noticed in my 100-mile race. So anyway, salt tablets would be one. I have found for ultras to break it, I like to break it up in, some people break it up into 4s. I like to break it up into 3s. I don't know. That's just how my brain works. So, you know, the first 18 miles, just make sure you get to 18 miles feeling amazing, just really amazing. And then maybe by 20 miles or 22 miles, you're like, okay, let's just see how the legs feel. But no matter what, it almost feels too easy at 18 miles. Because once you get to 32 miles or 36 miles, that's when it's really going to start to, so that's, as far as breaking up races, that's how I usually do it, is break it up into thirds. If you can find a running buddy, I would say that'd be a huge help as well. You know, somebody that is around your ability level, but not, you know, you don't want to hold each other back, or you don't want to push the pace, or they don't, you know, but I must say, whenever I latch on to someone in a ultra race, that has helped as well. So anyway, those are a couple thoughts.
Brilliant stuff. Thanks for that. That's really good advice. Zeph, it's been a real pleasure talking to you, and yeah, thanks again for coming onto the channel, and wish you best of luck in your future running and on YouTube. Thank
you, and we will meet at some point in the UK. I'm hoping to come over. You know, I don't know if it'll be this year, but I'll be over there. So
absolutely.
All right.
Thanks, Zeph.
Thanks, Chris.